Imagine a ship sailing smoothly through the vast expanse of the Atlantic Ocean, its crew going about their daily tasks, the sun shining brightly overhead. Then, without warning, this vessel vanishes from existence, leaving no trace of its occupants and no clue to explain its eerie abandonment. The Mary Celeste, a name that has become synonymous with maritime mystery, embarked on a journey that would forever be shrouded in enigma. On a crisp December morning in 1872, the Mary Celeste was discovered adrift and deserted, floating aimlessly in the open sea. The ship's cargo was intact, its lifeboats missing, and its crew nowhere to be found. The baffling circumstances surrounding its abandonment sparked a flurry of speculation and intrigue that has endured for over a century. How could a vessel so well equipped and seaworthy end up as a ghost ship, drifting in the middle of the Atlantic? Was it a catastrophic event, a calculated crime, or something far more sinister? In the search for answers, theories have ranged from natural disasters and human error to supernatural forces and extraterrestrial involvement. Each theory adds a layer of complexity to the story, deepening the mystery and captivating the imagination of those who seek to unravel the truth. Join us as we delve into one of history's most perplexing maritime mysteries. Through meticulous investigation, we'll explore the facts, scrutinize the theories, and uncover the secrets of the Mary Celeste. This is not just a story of a ship and its crew, it is a journey into the heart of a mystery that continues to fascinate and perplex to this day. Prepare to embark on an odyssey of discovery, where the lines between reality and legend blur, and where the quest for answers leads us into the unknown. Welcome to the Enigma of the Mary Celeste. Mary Celeste was a Canadian-built, American-registered merchant brigantine discovered adrift and deserted in the Atlantic Ocean near the Azorian Islands on December 4, 1872. The Canadian brigantine Dei Grazia found her in a disheveled but seaworthy condition under partial sail, with her lifeboat missing. The last entry in her log was dated 10 days earlier. She had left New York City for Genoa on November 7th and was still amply provisioned when found. Her cargo of alcohol was intact, and the captain's and crew's personal belongings were undisturbed. None of those who had been on board were ever seen or heard from again. Mary Celeste was built in Spencer's Island, Nova Scotia, and launched under British registration as Amazon in 1861. She was transferred to American ownership and registration in 1868, when she acquired her new name. Thereafter, she sailed uneventfully until her 1872 voyage. At the salvage hearings in Gibraltar following her recovery, the court's officers considered various possibilities of foul play, including mutiny by Mary Celeste's crew, piracy by the Dei Grazia crew or others, and conspiracy to carry out insurance or salvage fraud. No convincing evidence supported these theories, but unresolved suspicions led to a relatively low salvage award. The inconclusive nature of the hearings fostered continued speculation as to what had happened to the ship's occupants, and the story has repeatedly been complicated by false detail and fantasy. Hypotheses that have been advanced include the effects on the crew of alcohol fumes rising from the cargo, submarine earthquakes, waterspouts, attack by a giant squid, and paranormal intervention. After the Gibraltar hearings, Mary Celeste continued in service under new owners. In 1885, her captain deliberately wrecked her off the coast of Haiti as part of an attempted insurance fraud. The story of her 1872 abandonment has been recounted and dramatized many times in documentaries, novels, plays, and films, and the name of the ship has become a byword for unexplained desertion. In 1884, Arthur Conan Doyle wrote J. Habakkuk Jeffson's Statement, a short story based on the mystery, but spelled the vessel's name as Mary Celeste. The story's popularity led to the spelling becoming more common than the original in everyday use. The keel of the future Mary Celeste was laid in late 1860 at the shipyard of Joshua Dewis in the village of Spencer's Island, on the shores of the Bay of Fundy in Nova Scotia. The ship was constructed of locally felled timber, with 2 masts, and was rigged as a brigantine. She was carvel-built, the hull planking flush rather than overlapping. She was launched on May 18, 1861, given the name Amazon, and registered at nearby Parsboro on June 10, 1861. Her registration documents described her as 99.3 feet in length, 25.5 feet broad, with a depth of 11.7 feet, and of 198.42 gross tonnage. She was owned by a local consortium of 9 people, headed by Dewis. Among the co-owners was Robert McClellan, the ship's first captain. For her maiden voyage in June 1861, Amazon sailed to 5 islands, Nova Scotia, to take on a cargo of timber for passage across the Atlantic to London. After supervising the ship's loading, Captain McClellan fell ill. His condition worsened. The Amazon returned to Spencer's Island, where McClellan died on June 19th. John Nutting Parker took over as captain and resumed the voyage to London, in the course of which Amazon encountered further misadventures. She collided with fishing equipment in the Narrows off Eastport, Maine, and after leaving London ran into and sank a brig in the English Channel. Parker remained in command for 2 years, during which Amazon worked mainly in the West Indies trade. She crossed the Atlantic to France in November 1861, and in Marseille was the subject of a painting, possibly by Honoré de Pellegrin, a well-known maritime artist of the Marseille school. In 1863, Parker was succeeded by William Thomson, who remained in command until 1867. These were quiet years. Amazon's mate later recalled that, "We went to the West Indies, England, and the Mediterranean, what we call the foreign trade. Not a thing unusual happened." In October 1867, at Cape Breton Island, Amazon was driven ashore in a storm, and was so badly damaged that her owners abandoned her as a wreck. On October 15th, she was acquired as a derelict by Alexander McBean, of Glace Bay, Nova Scotia. Ownership reassignment and name change. Within a month, McBean sold the wreck to a local businessman, who in November 1868, sold it to Richard W. Haynes, an American mariner from New York. Haynes paid $1,750 for the wreck, and then spent $8,825 restoring it. He made himself her captain, and, in December 1868, registered her with the collector of the Port of New York as an American vessel, under a new name, Mary Celeste. In October 1869, the ship was seized by Haynes's creditors, and sold to a New York consortium headed by James H. Winchester. During the next 3 years, the composition of this consortium changed several times, although Winchester retained at least a half share throughout. No record of Mary Celeste's trading activities during this period have been found. Early in 1872, the ship underwent a major refit, costing $10,000, which enlarged her considerably. Her length was increased to 103 feet, her breadth to 25.7 feet, and her depth to 16.2 feet. Among the structural changes, a second deck was added. An inspector's report refers to extensions to the poop deck, new transoms, and the replacement of many timbers. The work increased the ship's tonnage to 282.28. On October 29, 1872, the consortium was made up of Winchester with 6 shares and 2 minor investors with 1 share apiece, the remaining 4 of 12 shares being held by the ship's new captain, Benjamin Spooner Briggs. Benjamin Briggs was born in Wareham, Massachusetts, on April 24, 1835, one of 5 sons of Sea Captain Nathan Briggs. All but one of the sons went to sea, 2 becoming captains. Benjamin was an observant Christian who read the Bible regularly and often bore witness to his faith at prayer meetings. In 1862, he married his cousin Sarah Elizabeth Cobb and enjoyed a Mediterranean honeymoon on board his schooner Forest King. 2 children were born, Arthur in September 1865 and Sophia Matilda in October 1870. By the time of Sophia's birth, Briggs had achieved a high standing within his profession. He considered retiring from the sea to go into business with his seafaring brother Oliver, who had also grown tired of the wandering life. They did not proceed with this project, but each invested his savings in a share of a ship. Oliver invested in Julia A. Hullock, and Benjamin in Mary Celeste. In October 1872, Benjamin took command of Mary Celeste for her first voyage following her extensive New York refit, which was to take her to Genoa in Italy. He arranged for his wife and infant daughter to accompany him, while his school-aged son was left at home in the care of his grandmother. Briggs chose the crew for this voyage with care. First Mate Albert G. Richardson was married to a niece of Winchester and had sailed under Briggs before. Second Mate Andrew Gilling, aged about 25, was born in New York and was of Danish extraction. The steward, newly married Edward William Head, was signed on with a personal recommendation from Winchester. The four general seamen were Germans from the Frisian Islands, the brothers Volkert and Bos Lorenzen, Arian Martins, and Gottlieb Gaudschall. A later testimonial described them as peaceable and first-class sailors. In a letter to his mother shortly before the voyage, Briggs declared himself eminently satisfied with ship and crew. Sarah Briggs informed her mother that the crew appeared to be quietly capable, if they continue as they have begun. Abandonment. New York. On October 20, 1872, Briggs arrived at Pier 50 on the East River in New York City to supervise the loading of the ship's cargo of 1,701 barrels of alcohol. His wife and infant daughter joined him a week later. On Sunday, November 3rd, Briggs wrote to his mother to say that he intended to leave on Tuesday, adding that, "Our vessel is in beautiful trim and I hope we shall have a fine passage." On the morning of Tuesday, November 5th, Mary Celeste left Pier 50 with Briggs, his wife and daughter, and 7 crew members, and moved into New York Harbor. The weather was uncertain, and Briggs decided to wait for better conditions. He anchored the ship just off Staten Island, where Sarah used the delay to send a final letter to her mother-in-law. "Tell Arthur," she wrote, "I make great dependence on the letters I shall get from him, and will try to remember anything that happens on the voyage which he would be pleased to hear." The weather eased 2 days later, and Mary Celeste left the harbor and entered the Atlantic. While Mary Celeste prepared to sail, the Canadian brigantine Dei Grazia lay nearby in Hoboken, New Jersey, awaiting a cargo of petroleum destined for Genoa via Gibraltar. Captain David Morehouse and First Mate Oliver DeVoe were Nova Scotians, both highly experienced and respected seamen. Captains Briggs and Morehouse shared common interests, and some writers think it likely that they knew each other, if only casually. Some accounts assert that they were close friends who dined together on the evening before Mary Celeste's departure, but the evidence for this is limited to a recollection by Morehouse's widow 50 years after the event. Dei Grazia departed for Gibraltar on November 15th, following the same general route 8 days after Mary Celeste. Derelict. Dei Grazia had reached a position of 38 degrees 20 minutes north, 17 degrees 15 minutes west, midway between the Azores and the coast of Portugal at about 1 p.m. on Wednesday, December 4, 1872, land time, Thursday, December 5, sea time. Captain Morehouse came on deck, and the helmsman reported a vessel heading unsteadily towards Dei Grazia at a distance of about 6 miles. The ship's erratic movements and the odd set of her sails led Morehouse to suspect that something was wrong. As the vessel drew close, he could see nobody on deck, and he received no reply to his signals, so he sent DeVoe and second mate John Wright in a ship's boat to investigate. The pair established that this was the Mary Celeste by the name on her stern. They then climbed aboard and found the ship deserted. The sails were partly set and in a poor condition, some missing altogether, and much of the rigging was damaged, with ropes hanging loosely over the sides. The main hatch cover was secure, but the fore and lazarette hatches were open, their covers beside them on the deck. The ship's single lifeboat was a small yawl that had apparently been stowed across the main hatch, but it was missing, while the binnacle housing the ship's compass had shifted from its place and its glass cover was broken. There was about 3.5 feet of water in the hold, a significant but not alarming amount for a ship of this size. A makeshift sounding rod, a device for measuring the amount of water in the hold, was found abandoned on the deck. They found the ship's daily log in the mate's cabin, and its final entry was dated at 8 a.m. on November 25th, 9 days earlier. It recorded Mary Celeste's position then as 37 degrees 1 minute north, 25 degrees 1 minute west off Santa Maria Island in the Azores, nearly 400 nautical miles from the point where Dei Grazia encountered her. DeVoe saw that the cabin interiors were wet and untidy from water that had entered through doorways and skylights, but were otherwise in reasonable order. He found personal items scattered about Briggs' cabin, including a sheathed sword under the bed, but most of the ship's papers were missing along with the captain's navigational instruments. Galley equipment was neatly stowed away. There was no food prepared or under preparation, but there were ample provisions in the stores. There were no obvious signs of fire or violence. The evidence indicated an orderly departure from the ship by means of the missing lifeboat. DeVoe returned to report these findings to Morehouse, who decided to bring the derelict into Gibraltar 600 nautical miles, 1,100 kilometers, away. Under maritime law, a salver could expect a substantial share of the combined value of rescued vessel and cargo, the exact award depending on the degree of danger inherent in the salvaging. Morehouse divided Dei Grazia's crew of 8 between the 2 vessels, sending DeVoe and 2 experienced seamen to Mary Celeste while he and 4 others remained on Dei Grazia. The weather was relatively calm for most of the way to Gibraltar, but each ship was seriously undercrewed and progress was slow. Dei Grazia reached Gibraltar on December 12. Mary Celeste had encountered fog and arrived on the following morning. She was immediately impounded by the Vice Admiralty Court to prepare for salvage hearings. DeVoe wrote to his wife that the ordeal of bringing the ship in was such that I can hardly tell what I am made of, but I do not care so long as I got in safe. I shall be well paid for the Mary Celeste. The salvage court hearings began in Gibraltar on December 17, 1872, under Sir James Cochrane, the Chief Justice of Gibraltar. The hearing was conducted by Frederick Solly Flood, Attorney General of Gibraltar, who was also Advocate General and Proctor for the Queen in her Office of Admiralty. Flood was described by a historian of the Mary Celeste affair as a man whose arrogance and pomposity were inversely proportional to his IQ, and as the sort of man who, once he had made up his mind about something, couldn't be shifted. The testimonies of DeVoe and Wright convinced Flood unalterably that a crime had been committed, a belief picked up by the New York Shipping and Commercial List on December 21st. The inference is that there has been foul play somewhere, and that alcohol is at the bottom of it. On December 23rd, Flood ordered an examination of Mary Celeste, which was carried out by John Austin, surveyor of shipping, with the assistance of a diver, Riccardo Porcinato. Austin noted cuts on each side of the bow, caused, he thought, by a sharp instrument, and found possible traces of blood on the captain's sword. His report emphasized that the ship did not appear to have been struck by heavy weather, citing a vial of sewing machine oil found upright in its place. Austin did not acknowledge that the vial might have been replaced since the abandonment, nor did the court raise this point. Porcinato's report on the hull concluded that the ship had not been involved in a collision or run aground. A further inspection by a group of Royal Naval captains endorsed Austin's opinion that the cuts on the bow had been caused deliberately. They also discovered stains on one of the ship's rails that might have been blood, together with a deep mark possibly caused by an axe. These findings strengthened Flood's suspicions that human wrongdoing rather than natural disaster lay behind the mystery. On January 22, 1873, he sent the reports to the Board of Trade in London, adding his own conclusion that the crew had got at the alcohol and murdered the Briggs family and the ship's officers in a drunken frenzy. They had cut the bows to simulate a collision, then fled in the yawl to suffer an unknown fate. Flood thought that Morehouse and his men were hiding something, specifically that Mary Celeste had been abandoned in a more easterly location, and that the log had been doctored. He could not accept that Mary Celeste could have traveled so far while uncrewed. James Winchester arrived in Gibraltar on January 15 to inquire when Mary Celeste might be released to deliver her cargo. Flood demanded a surety of $15,000, money Winchester did not have. Winchester became aware that Flood thought Winchester might have deliberately engaged a crew that would kill Briggs and his officers as part of some conspiracy. On January 29, during a series of sharp exchanges with Flood, Winchester testified to Briggs's high character, and insisted that Briggs would not have abandoned the ship except in extremity. Flood's theories of mutiny and murder received significant setbacks when scientific analysis of the stains found on the sword and elsewhere on the ship showed that they were not blood. A second blow to Flood followed in a report commissioned by Horatio Sprague, the American consul in Gibraltar, from Captain Schufelt of the U.S. Navy. In Schufelt's view, the marks on the bow were not man-made, but came from the natural actions of the sea on the ship's timbers. With nothing concrete to support his suspicions, Flood reluctantly released Mary Celeste from the court's jurisdiction on February 25. 2 weeks later, with a locally raised crew headed by Captain George Blatchford from Massachusetts, she left Gibraltar for Genoa. The question of the salvage payment was decided on April 8, when Cochrane announced the award, £1,700, or about 1/5 of the total value of ship and cargo. This was far lower than the general expectation. One authority thought that the award should have been twice or even 3 times that amount, given the level of hazard in bringing the derelict into port. Cochrane's final words were harshly critical of Morehouse for his decision, earlier in the hearing, to send Dei Grazia under Devoe to deliver a cargo of petroleum, although Morehouse had remained in Gibraltar at the disposal of the court. Cochrane's tone carried an implication of wrongdoing, which, says Hicks, ensured that Morehouse and his crew would be under suspicion in the court of public opinion forever. The investigation into the mysterious abandonment of the Mary Celeste has yielded numerous theories, yet none have been definitively proven. James Winchester, the ship's owner, was initially suspected of insurance fraud due to the vessel's heavy overinsurance, but he successfully refuted these allegations, and no insurance inquiry ensued. The investigation into the mysterious abandonment of the Mary Celeste has yielded numerous theories, yet none have been definitively proven. James Winchester, the ship's owner, was initially suspected of insurance fraud due to the vessel's heavy overinsurance, but he successfully refuted these allegations, and no insurance inquiry ensued. Eerie, proposed in 1931, suggested that Captain Morehouse of the Dei Grazia might have murdered Briggs and his crew after luring them onto his own ship. However, this theory was debunked by Paul Begg, who pointed out that the Dei Grazia, being slower in departing New York 8 days after the Mary Celeste, could not have caught up with her before she reached Gibraltar. Articulated that Briggs and Morehouse were partners in a salvage scam, but this was contradicted by the lack of evidence of any prior relationship between the two captains. The notion that Riffian pirates were responsible was dismissed by Charles Eddie Fay, who noted that pirates would have looted the ship, yet valuable personal belongings were left undisturbed. In 1925, historian John Gilbert Lockhart suggested Briggs might have killed everyone on board in a religious mania, a theory he later retracted after speaking with Briggs's descendants. A more plausible theory involves the possibility that Briggs ordered a temporary evacuation of the crew to the yawl due to perceived danger, such as a possible explosion from the cargo of alcohol. Oliver Cobb speculated that the crew may have intended to return to the ship but were set adrift when the line parted. This theory, however, is weakened by the fact that an experienced captain like Briggs would likely not have abandoned a seaworthy vessel for a lifeboat, which offered less security. Arthur N. Putman, a noted sea mystery investigator, supported the lifeboat theory, suggesting a panicked evacuation following a more intense explosion from the alcohol fumes. Natural phenomena have also been considered. Devoe speculated that a malfunctioning sounding rod might have falsely indicated the ship was taking on water, prompting abandonment. The hypothesis of a waterspout strike explains the water on board and the ragged sails, as low pressure could have led the crew to overestimate the danger of sinking. Other theories include the presence of an iceberg, the fear of running aground, or a submarine earthquake, although these are less supported by evidence. In 2006, an experiment by chemist Andrea Sella demonstrated that an explosion of alcohol fumes could create a pressure wave without leaving burn marks, reviving the explosion theory. The case of the Mary Celeste has also been clouded by numerous myths and false accounts. Publications such as the Los Angeles Times in 1883 and Overland Monthly in 1906 added fictional elements to the story. Arthur Conan Doyle's 1884 short story, J. Habakkuk Jeffson's statement, while fictional, significantly influenced public perception by introducing many inaccuracies. Various other fabricated survivor accounts and hoaxes over the years have further muddied the waters. In summary, while many theories have been proposed, ranging from natural phenomena to human actions, the true fate of the Mary Celeste's crew remains one of maritime history's most enduring mysteries. The mysterious case of the Mary Celeste continues to intrigue historians and enthusiasts alike, despite numerous theories attempting to explain the puzzling abandonment of the vessel. While Gibraltar's investigations failed to substantiate Captain Flood's theories of murder or conspiracy, the suspicion of foul play persisted. Some reports and Flood himself briefly speculated that the captain, Benjamin Briggs, might have been involved in insurance fraud, given that the ship had been heavily overinsured. Winchester, the insurance agent, managed to refute these allegations, and no further inquiry was pursued by the insurance companies involved. In 1931, the Quarterly Review proposed a theory involving Captain Morehouse, suggesting that he might have waited for the Mary Celeste and then lured Briggs and his crew aboard the Dei Grazia, killing them there. Paul Begg counters this theory, noting that the Dei Grazia was slower and departed New York 8 days after the Mary Celeste, making it unlikely that it would have caught up with the latter before reaching Gibraltar. Another theory posits that Briggs and Morehouse were conspirators intending to share salvage proceeds, though no evidence supports a friendship between the two captains. Hicks argues that if such a scam had been planned, it would not have involved creating a high-profile mystery, and questions why Briggs would have abandoned his son Arthur if he intended to disappear permanently. The idea of Riffian pirates being involved was also considered. These pirates were active off the Moroccan coast in the 1870s, but Charles Edifay notes that pirates would have looted the ship, yet the personal possessions of the captain and crew were left untouched. In 1925, historian John Gilbert Lockhart speculated that Briggs might have killed everyone on board and then himself in a fit of religious mania. Lockhart later retracted this theory after speaking to Briggs's descendants, acknowledging its improbability. Oliver Cobb, Briggs's cousin, suggested that the crew might have temporarily moved to the yawl as a safety measure. He theorized that the ship's main halyard could have been used to attach the yawl to the Mary Celeste, allowing the crew to return once danger had passed. However, if the line had parted, the yawl would have drifted away with its occupants. Begg considers it illogical to tether the yawl to a vessel perceived as likely to explode or sink. MacDonald Hastings argues that Briggs, being an experienced captain, would not have orchestrated a panicked abandonment, suggesting that the Mary Celeste would have been a safer option than the lifeboat. Arthur N. Putman, an insurance appraiser and investigator of maritime mysteries, proposed that only one lifeboat was missing, and that the boat's rope was cut, not untied, indicating a hasty evacuation. He speculated that intense rumblings and small explosions, typical of a cargo of alcohol, might have led to a panicked decision to abandon ship. This theory suggests that Briggs and the crew, fearing an explosion, quickly boarded the lifeboat and cut the rope, abandoning the Mary Celeste. Theories involving natural phenomena also offer potential explanations. A waterspout might have struck the ship, creating low barometric pressure that drove water from the bilges into the pumps, leading to an overestimation of the water on board and a belief that the vessel was sinking. Other explanations include the presence of a displaced iceberg, the fear of running aground while becalmed, or a sudden submarine earthquake. Hydrographical evidence suggests that an iceberg drifting so far south was unlikely, and the theory of the ship running aground on a reef is weakened by the fact that sails were furled despite the calm conditions. An earthquake on the seabed might have caused turbulence, damaging the cargo and releasing noxious fumes, prompting an evacuation. While the Mary Celeste was found in good condition with no signs of explosion, the theory remains that an alarming scenario might have led to the abandonment. In 2006, chemist Andrea Sella of University College, London, conducted an experiment demonstrating that an explosion could occur without leaving fire damage, which helped revive the explosion theory. The Mary Celeste story has been subject to many myths and false histories. Chambers's journal of September 17, 1904, suggested that a giant octopus or squid might have plucked the crew off one by one. Although giant squid have been known to attack ships, Begg notes that such a creature could not have taken the yawl or the navigation instruments. Paranormal theories have also been proposed, linking the mystery to the Great Pyramid of Gizeh, the lost continent of Atlantis, or the Bermuda Triangle, despite the ship being abandoned far from these areas. Other fantastical theories include abduction by aliens in flying saucers. After the Mary Celeste was abandoned, it continued to sail under different ownership. In February 1874, the ship was sold to a partnership of New York businessmen at a loss. Under its new ownership, the ship sailed mainly in the West Indian and Indian Ocean routes, often losing money. The ship's captain, Edgar Tuthill, died on St. Helena Island in February 1879, reinforcing the belief that the ship was cursed. In February 1880, the ship was sold again to a partnership led by Wesley Gove. Captain Thomas L. Fleming and later Gilman C. Parker commanded the ship until August 1884. During this time, the ship's registration changed several times before reverting to Boston. There are no records of its voyages during this period, though Gove is known to have tried to make the ship a success. In November 1884, Parker, along with a group of Boston shippers, filled the Mary Celeste with a worthless cargo, insured for $30,000, and deliberately ran the ship aground on the Rockaloys Reef near Port-au-Prince. The ship was wrecked, and Parker and the crew rowed to shore, where Parker sold the salvageable cargo and made insurance claims for the alleged value. When the consul discovered the cargo's worthlessness, an investigation exposed the conspiracy. Parker was charged with conspiracy and barratry, a crime carrying the death penalty. The conspiracy case ended in a mistrial, and an arrangement was made for the defendants to withdraw their claims and repay the insurance money. Parker's reputation was destroyed, and he died in poverty shortly afterward. His co-defendants faced severe consequences as well. In August 2001, marine archaeologist Clive Cussler found remains of a ship embedded in the Rockaloys Reef, possibly the Mary Celeste. However, dendrochronological tests revealed that the wood used was from trees still growing in the 1890s, casting doubt on the identification of the wreck. The tale of the Mary Celeste is far from unique in maritime lore, though it remains the most famous example of a mysteriously deserted ship. Naval officer and maritime investigator Rupert Gould identified similar cases between 1840 and 1855, where ships were found abandoned under puzzling circumstances. Despite these other incidents, the Mary Celeste has become synonymous with unexplained desertion, cementing its place in maritime mystery. One such case that echoes the Mary Celeste's enigma is that of the MV Joyita. In October 1955, this 70-ton motor vessel disappeared while en route between Samoa and Tokelau with 25 people aboard. The Joyita was discovered a month later, adrift and abandoned north of Vanuatu, 600 miles from its intended course. None of the crew or passengers were ever found, and an inquiry into the disappearance failed to produce a definitive explanation. David Wright, the leading historian on the case, has described it as a classic maritime mystery of the same magnitude as that of the Mary Celeste. The story of the Mary Celeste has inspired a range of cultural works. In the 1930s, two radio plays, written by L. Dugard Peach and Tim Healy, brought the mystery to the airwaves, followed by a stage adaptation of Peach's play in 1949. In 1935, Hammer Film Productions released The Mystery of the Mary Celeste, known in the U.S. as Phantom Ship, starring Bela Lugosi as a deranged sailor. Though not commercially successful, this film is considered by Paul Begg to be a valuable period piece. The 1938 short film, The Ship That Died, dramatized various theories about the ship's abandonment, including mutiny, fears of explosion due to alcohol fumes, and supernatural explanations. The Mary Celeste also appeared in popular culture in the 1965 episode of Doctor Who titled The Chase. In this episode, the crew's disappearance is attributed to a panic caused by the sudden appearance of Daleks searching for the Doctor and his companions, who had briefly landed on the ship. In November 2007, the Smithsonian Channel aired a documentary called The True Story of the Mary Celeste, which explored various aspects of the case without reaching a definitive conclusion. One theory presented in the documentary suggested that pump congestion and instrument malfunction might have contributed to the crew's decision to abandon the ship. The Mary Celeste had previously transported coal, known for its dust, which might have contributed to pump issues. The disassembled pump found on deck indicated that the crew might have been attempting repairs. Additionally, the ship's hull was packed full, which could have made it difficult for the captain to accurately gauge the amount of water taken on during rough seas. The documentary proposed that a faulty chronometer might have led Captain Briggs to believe they were closer to their destination than they actually were, prompting an abandonment that occurred 120 miles west of where they thought they were. In 2020, the supernatural horror film, Haunting of the Mary Celeste, offered a fictional explanation for the ship's disappearance. The movie attributes the mystery to supernatural rifts caused by tectonic plate movements, which supposedly have the power to draw in people and animals. At Spencer's Island, where the Mary Celeste was built, the ship and its lost crew are commemorated with a monument at the construction site and an outdoor cinema shaped like the vessel's hull. Additionally, postage stamps have been issued to honor the ship's story by Gibraltar and the Maldives, though one of the stamps from the Maldives misspells the ship's name as Mary Celeste. Following the events of the Mary Celeste, various investigations and theories continue to capture public imagination. While the case has been subject to numerous interpretations, one of the most intriguing aspects remains the exploration of the ship's final moments. Despite exhaustive research and speculation, no definitive answer has been found to explain the vessel's abandonment. In the aftermath of the Mary Celeste discovery, there was a surge in interest in maritime mysteries, leading to similar cases being examined more closely. Some theorists have proposed that the ship's crew might have been victims of a series of unfortunate events compounded by errors in judgment. For example, the ship's cargo of alcohol could have led to dangerous fumes or explosions, forcing the crew to abandon ship under duress. Other theories have ventured into the realm of the supernatural and the unexplained. Speculations about extraterrestrial involvement or other paranormal factors have persisted, fueled by the lack of concrete evidence and the ship's eerie legacy. These ideas often find their way into popular culture, influencing fictional portrayals and contributing to the mystique surrounding the Mary Celeste. The ship's story has continued to inspire maritime literature and media. Writers and filmmakers frequently return to the Mary Celeste as a symbol of the unknown, drawing on its mysterious disappearance to explore broader themes of human vulnerability and the limits of understanding. The case serves as a compelling narrative for those interested in the confluence of reality and myth, exemplifying how real-life enigmas can evolve into enduring legends. In addition to cultural portrayals, there have been ongoing efforts to solve the mystery using modern technology. Advances in forensic science and underwater archaeology have allowed researchers to re-examine evidence with fresh perspectives. For instance, recent dives and investigations have sought to uncover more about the ship's final voyage and the conditions it faced. Despite these efforts, definitive conclusions remain elusive, and the Mary Celeste continues to be a subject of fascination and speculation. The enduring intrigue of the Mary Celeste reflects a broader human curiosity about the unknown. The story's combination of fact and mystery has ensured its place in maritime history as a cautionary tale about the limits of human knowledge and the enigmatic forces of nature. As long as questions remain unanswered, the Mary Celeste will continue to capture imaginations and inspire discussions about one of history's most perplexing maritime mysteries. As we draw to the end of our exploration into the mystery of the Mary Celeste, we are left with a profound sense of wonder and intrigue. This enigmatic case, with its blend of historical fact and enduring mystery, challenges our understanding of the world and the forces that shape it. The Mary Celeste's tale is more than just a story of a deserted ship, it's a reflection of humanity's quest for answers in the face of the unknown. The ship's eerie abandonment, the speculative theories, and the various cultural interpretations all contribute to a story that remains compelling even over a century after it first captured the public's imagination. From the earliest reports to modern investigations, the Mary Celeste has stood as a symbol of the mysteries that lie beyond our grasp, a testament to the complexities of maritime history and human curiosity. As we consider the numerous theories, whether they involve natural disasters, human error, or the supernatural, we are reminded of the limitations of our knowledge and the allure of the unexplained. The unanswered questions surrounding the Mary Celeste continue to inspire both fear and fascination, serving as a poignant reminder that some mysteries may never be fully unraveled. The ship itself, though lost to the depths of the ocean, lives on through the stories and investigations it has inspired. It is celebrated in literature, film, and folklore, symbolizing the eternal struggle to comprehend the incomprehensible. The legacy of the Mary Celeste endures not just in the records of maritime history but in our collective imagination, urging us to keep searching, questioning, and exploring the boundaries of what we know. In the end, the story of the Mary Celeste serves as a powerful narrative about the intersection of reality and myth. It reminds us that the sea, with all its vastness and mystery, will always hold secrets that challenge and captivate us. As we conclude this documentary, we leave with a sense of wonder, embracing the idea that some questions may remain unanswered, but the journey to understand them is what enriches our human experience.